That's a nice lead you have there. Be a real shame if somebody who couldn't hit and couldn't run came along and laid a bunt down and ruined that for you. That's right. The Guardians with another sweep. And it all happened because a slipper and it changed the game. We'll get into that. We'll get into this bullpen being fantastic again. And the Guardians already have 33 wins in 50 games. How many more can they win this year on today's Locked On Guardians?
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and everyone. Welcome to today's show. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. 6th percentile in sprint speed, if you were curious. Not a good number. Hey, as I've got my little mini sweeper because sweep.
Need a big sweeper.
So this blew some people's minds. Cleveland has more sweeps this year than they had all of last year. Again, it's the middle of May, and we've hit more sweeps than this team had all of last year. I mentioned on yesterday's show, I didn't get to watch a ton of the game today because it happened when I was teaching. And though I do have planning at the end of the day, there are days where you just don't get to have planning because middle schoolers are middle schoolers. But 2 days ago, when I was listening to the Mets broadcast, I mentioned that this team is really good in closing out series. Not closing out series is necessarily, but in that final game. We're like 9-22, I believe, was what they said in game 1 and 2, and 12-4, now 12-5. So when McKenzie was struggling and things were falling behind, it was about 3-0 when I unfortunately had to walk away. I didn't feel great, and then I would get a little text alert from Justin on my phone and be like, or on my wristwatch, I should say, on the Fitbit, and be like, okay, well, I wonder what the context on that is. Didn't always get it.
If you're watching or not, yeah.
So I just would get these weird,
know that I'm just gonna get more and more cryptic if I know you're not watching. It was
very cryptic. I was like, you could have been like, oh no, Jose, and I would have I've been like, oh my goodness, because I didn't have my phone and everything was in my classroom, so I didn't have it. Would just be when I would walk past my classroom with a student who needed to take a walk, where I'd get a random vibration and be like, oh, okay. But it made me sad because this one came together well, and I didn't get to see any of the fun. Kyle Manzardo with extra base hit in 3 straight games now, and he didn't even start this one. 4 straight games.
Yeah, 4 straight games.
Yeah, it's there was some ups and downs, but at the end of the day, they won again. Like it's just it's yeah. And I know people out there, the Mets are bad this year. The Mets aren't trying. It's like the Mets have beat some good teams, and like we have seen all sorts of teams falter. Cleveland's only lost, I want to say, 3 series all year, right? It's just the 3: Houston, Chicago,
Houston, Atlanta, New York, and
Atlanta,
Chicago.
New York.
So they lost 4 series.
I forgot New York. Yeah. It's easy to forget about the city of New York.
Count them on one hand. It's almost Memorial Day weekend, and you can count the amount of series they've lost on one hand. That's pretty good. I think it's okay.
Keeps going back to what I said a year ago, which is like good teams find ways to win, bad teams find ways to lose. And I know people are like, oh, it's bad at ball luck, it's this or that. No, I think it starts with the manager who's making astute calls and really using the whole breadth and depth of his lineup. I don't think that's exactly what I wanted, but he's using everyone. He's trying to maximize spots. He's been a revelation.
We're winning the margins.
Yes, and that's what you have to when you're this type of team. And they don't give up. Like a year ago, it felt like this team didn't think they could score runs. And hey, you know what? The numbers back that up. But it's just like it almost goes like the expectation of failure a year ago to the expectation of success. And I maybe that alone is huge. Like they believe in themselves this year, where last year there were points where it's like it felt like it was, head down, dragging their feet on the ground. They didn't think they could do it. So it's a different motivation with this team this year, different belief structure. They are Austin Hedgeologists.
The hedgehog, man. That's what it is. I don't know if anybody listening to this didn't get a chance. We can't play it on here. I don't think we're allowed, but the post-game audio with Austin Hedges just talking about, I think Zach asked him about what he sees in this team from what he learned with Texas a year ago. And he just talked about how every game is a playoff game because there are teams in October who don't get in because they lost some game or they lost 2 games in April or May, and they just kept them out of the playoffs at the end. And he just talked about how, we're playing playoff baseball right now. There's 162 of these things. And when October comes, if we're in it, we're going to know how to do it already because we've been through it. And that's just a great mindset. And he just talks about overcoming failure. And this team did fail for the first 5 innings because Jose Quintana has been terrible this year, but not that this is, any stat that actually correlates because it's been a long time since Jose Quintana has been the AL Central, and the players on the Indians are long gone. He's still pitching, so kudos to him.
Especially because it hasn't been the Indians in a while.
Yeah, and he used to dominate them. Remember, he used to dominate.
I know. I mean, he was a lefty, and he was the White Sox sold at the perfect moment. Let's be honest.
Sure
like, I mean, he turned.
Well, that was 2 teams ago for Jose because he's been on the.
I know
he's been on the Cubs and the Pirates since he's been.
It was what they got Eloy for him, I want to say, but it was the perfect sell point because he multiple years of control, and then he just kind of turned. He was not the same guy. But it was
for 5 innings. For 5 innings, he was that guy. Like, they were baffled, and again, not that the same players are here, but he was that guy.
Bottom half of that lineup makes everyone look like a Cy Young winner.
Yeah, let's be honest. I texted a few people this before the game, and I said, if the Guardians win this game today, buy your World Series tickets now, because that 5 through 9 was pretty uninspiring. Like, Gabriel Arias has been going through it. Johnathan Rodriguez, it's only a second game. Florial's been not good lately. You got Hedges, who you're not expecting anything from, and then Rocchio, if he's not walking, he's generally not doing anything at this point. So the 5 through 9 in that order were pretty awful. So if you saw this lineup and you looked at the game and you were like, well, that's a sweep, kudos to you and your positive outlook. And not that I'm saying they weren't going to win, but that 5 through 9 was pretty uninspiring. But again, you can push some buttons at the end of the game and use your bench. It works out nicely. But I tweeted after the 5th inning that Jose Quintana had thrown 54 pitches, and the Guardians had swung at 26 of them. So they swung at half the pitches he threw through 5 innings, and they had 1 hit. And I'm like, this is what happens. Like, again, I didn't want to complain because they already won this series. They're playing well. So it's 1 game, whatever. But, as we've talked about on the show multiple times, is when you have a team that doesn't walk and puts the ball in play a ton, and you rely a lot on batted ball luck and hoping for good batted ball quality, because you're hoping they're swinging at pitches they can do something with, and sometimes they're not. And that's part of this issue. But that's what was going on to the first 5 innings. And then, Austin Hedges lays down that bunt, which, my God, like, who was expecting Austin Hedges to bunt? There was the perfect bunt. Like, I don't think there's anything offensively Austin Hedges really does well anymore. I mean, sometimes if he runs into one, he can hit it a long way. There's still muscle in there, but he bunts, and then Freeman doubles, and Hedges should have scored, but he stopped. I'm not sure what happened there, but he stopped. And then look what happened. You got 2 on, and then Andre Gimenez comes up, and he works the count to 3-1, and then Quintana makes a mistake on 3-1, and it's a tie game. Like, 1, that just shows you what they're capable of when they have that approach. But 2, you just really can't count this team out, because in any minute it can turn. And I guess, those are the highs and the lows of a high swing, low walk oriented team, is that for 5 innings, they might waste chances and they might look terribly offensively. And then all of a sudden, another inning comes along and they start putting the ball in play, and the law of averages turns on their side, and they do this. Like, sometimes you just got to ride the roller coaster. But like you said, it's a different belief system in this team this year. And what did Andre tell us when he was on here? That Jose Ramirez said this team missed Austin Hedges. And I don't understand at this point. If you are doubting the importance of Austin Hedges on this team, I know some people say, well, that's great, make him a coach. We've said multiple times, it's not the same when you're a coach. Like, he is Jason Giambi to this team right now. Yeah. And if you doubt the importance at this point, I don't get it.
No, and if he wants to play, he doesn't want to coach. And like, he had options out there. You know, they're paying him what they paid him.
Somebody would have signed him
because Texas traded for him again, like who won the World Series, went out of their way to add him. Pittsburgh went out and paid him. And I'm like, I think you can maybe get him on a minor league contract, and Pittsburgh gave him millions. Like there is value there that can't necessarily always be quantified. And yes, I think he is a part of changing that. I go back to when Will Brennan was talking about the revelation of having Cole Calhoun and what he did to the clubhouse. It's like this team had a massive gap, and you know, Austin Hedges is helping fill that gap.
Yeah, we can get into whether or not, you know, how often at some point you have to take the training wheels off and learn and do things without needing that presence. But right now, they clearly needed Cole Calhoun at the end of last year, obviously, and they obviously needed Austin Hedges. And I know some people are going to say, well, what is it? Correlation is not causation, or what's that saying?
Yeah, correlation does not equal causation.
Yeah. So maybe there's a case of that here, but you know, hey, the players are talking about it and they're the ones winning the game. So if they feel it's important, then you know, hard to doubt it. I can't doubt it anymore at this point. All right. More to come on this game. We have to talk a little more about the approach change late in the game. Kyle Manzardo. Talk about Johnathan Rodriguez's first hit. Now he is the Birdman. He's going to be the Birdman forever now. We'll talk about Cade Smith's great closing appearance and how many more games are the Guardians going to win this year? They're already at 33, and they don't have to do a whole lot at this point to have a higher win total than most people thought. So stay tuned for more of that. Before we get to that, of course, we have to talk about we're not supposed to have favorite sponsors, but Game Time is one of mine, obviously, because I use the app. That's why they're one of my favorites, because I use this app. I am going to use this app later in the year. The Black Keys are coming to Cleveland, and I am going to wait till the last minute to get a good deal on tickets, because you can get good tickets on Game Time with last minute deals, all in prices. So, you know, you go buy tickets and you put them in your cart and it's like $40 for a ticket. And then you get to your checkout and it's like $200. Where did that come from? None of that with Game Time. You can get all in price. So you know what you're going to pay at checkout. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets and tickets for anything you want to go to. And they always have the lowest price guarantee. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use our code LOCKDOWNMLB. You also get $20 off your first purchase. Who doesn't want more money off of tickets? Terms apply. Again, create the account and redeem our code LOCKDOWNMLB. That's LOCKEDON-MLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. And let's check over at FanDuel as well. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a win of your own. Right now, if you are a new customer, you can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. So throw a $5 bet down on something with the lowest odds and just cash in if you're a new customer and get that $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. I was just checking over the app to look at the Guardians win totals to see how things have changed over there. So right now they are favored to win the AL Central, -105. So they have moved into a territory where it's not really advantageous to bet on them. And if you look at win totals as well, I tried to check what you could do at this point in the season on win totals. And they have teams to win 80-plus games, 90-plus games, 100-plus games. They are no longer in the 80-plus games category. You can only bet on them to win 90 or more. That's how much things have changed. So go over there, check those out, throw some money down. Visit FanDuel.com/lockdown. Make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Guardians get an off day on Thursday, but Friday they're back in action from LA. 9:38 first pitch on the East Coast. I don't know what that is. Why? And I'm not going to do the time anymore, but you can check out all the action on your Sirius XM that Friday night. You know, buy a bonfire, whatever you're doing on Friday night, just search Guardians. Okay, so where do you want to go with this? Do you want to talk about Johnathan Rodriguez? Do you want to talk about Kyle Manzardo? Jose Ramirez barreled a ball in the 9th inning for an insurance run that, again, was out of the strike zone. That guy, every day at this point, I just expect Jose Ramirez to do something that makes my jaw drop because he just does things that you shouldn't be able to do, but he does it.
This team's got a weird thing with birds. Can we just be honest about that? Like, what's it with rookies on this team and birds?
And birds, rookie outfielders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you weren't paying attention on Wednesday during the matinee, Johnathan Rodriguez saw an injured bird in the outfield who wasn't moving. Apparently, Tyler Freeman was like, "I'm not going near there. I'm not trying to get into all that." And I can't say I blame him. But Johnathan Rodriguez, he is, Pedro Serrano. He is friend to all mankind
Major League
and
Two version Pedro Serrano.
Sure, whatever it is. I mean, number 2 because he was peaceful in Major League 2, and I know people are going to say that's a terrible movie, but he picked up the bird and with his glove, he didn't touch it with his bare hand. Then he gave it to someone working on the grounds crew, and that's nice. So he saved a bird. Good for Johnathan Rodriguez. And look, he was rewarded with his first Major League hit.
Karma is real.
RBI that gave the Guardians the lead.
And a hit
2 games.
Most of the time is not a hit. So, definitely a karmatic moment.
Yes, 270 expected batting average. I was texting you that, and I was like, "Look, we're not gonna bag on Johnathan Rodriguez. He had a go-ahead RBI for his first career hit. That's fantastic. The first 2 games of his career, the at-bats have been rough to watch. They've been kind of who he is, but we'll see what happens. And in the outfield, it's an adventure. But hey, he contributed to the win today, and I want to see him play more just because they need to figure out who he is, and who he is today. Who he is on Wednesday was enough to help this team win. So was Kyle Manzardo. Like you said, he did not start the game, but he ended up playing a big role. He had a double that helped them drive an insurance run. That's 4 straight games with an extra base hit. He's timed the fastball. That's 4 doubles now. He doesn't have his first career home run. That's okay, but you feel good about his at bats. And again, his bat being on the bench against a lefty. And did he hit that off of Josh Walker? Is that who he hit? No, it was off of Adam Ottavino. It wasn't off Walker. But just being able to go to someone like that on the bench late in the game is just so fantastic. And you're able to do that again because David Fry started at third base while Jose DH'd. And guess what? You pinch hit for Gabriel Arias, who has been hard to watch offensively. And you're able to move David Fry over to third base after he started at first. I'm sorry, David Fry started at first. Josh Naylor got a day off, and he moves to third because you pinch hit Manzardo. So Manzardo got time in the field. Like you said,
third base was
taking advantage of all your options.
Best position in the minors. I know he hasn't done it a lot here, but
correct.
Coming up, that was like kind of his first natural home. So just as a note to people who are not as familiar with him, they're like, "Oh, can he play third?" It's like, well, that's probably his natural home. And he's not too good for his home.
Yeah. Are you too good for your home? Well, David Fry also 2 hits again, by the way, and he got hit by a pitch. He was on base 3 times.
It's like old hat by now. It's like if you reach base 3 times, you expect that when you're facing a lefty, when you're facing the king of all lefty killers.
I know. Wait till he is ready to go to LA, man. They're throwing Patrick Sandoval and Reed Detmers. Like, he is ready to go to LA. And then Cade Smith, my God, that was a heck of an appearance. I mean, he's been good all year. But his velocity,
not bad for an undrafted free agent.
Oh, I mean, by technicality, yes, he's undrafted because he would have been drafted if there was more than 5
You go
rounds.
back and you look at that draft class, it's like outside of Logan Allen, he's the best player they got in that draft.
Is he the only other player in that class that's going to make the majors?
Carson Tucker.
Who?
Tanner.
Never heard of him.
The wrong. Did I do the wrong brother?
No, you didn't.
Okay. Tanner Burns.
Thank you.
Sorry, I get nervous because I get my Tuckers confused. I'm like, oh, which Tucker is it?
Hey, Tucker's winning at life, man.
No, wait, that's not the right
ball.
One.
Hey, Chris Tucker, Will Smith, 2 of my favorite actors. Cole Tucker's winning at life, man. Okay, he's still playing ball, and he's married to Vanessa Hudgens. They're having a kid.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Like, he was a first rounder. He's made millions. He's still playing, and he gets to be.
Hey, Carson Tucker made millions.
Mr. Yeah, but he gets to be Mr. Vanessa Hudgens, and she'll be generating money forever. So, yeah, you're right.
Hey, we don't know who Carson Tucker's dating. We don't know, but yeah, I have not seen nor heard of Carson Tucker, and I don't know. He does. And someone's going to make a Petey Halpin comment. I know they're going to make a comment when they hear that. I know who it is too.
Well, it's like, God, who was that guy? Nick. Oh, I remember. This was my joke back when I was covering prospects, and like no one else really paid attention to the draft. My does not exist player ever was Nick Bartolomeo, who I could not find. He was the first guy that didn't exist on the internet. So that
right?
is
Shabbat.
Yes, Shabbat College. That's the guy. So right now Carson Tucker is taking over that role of Mr. Doesn't Exist. But yeah, no, I mean Cade Smith.
I have stories about that player that we cannot talk about on air that we'll have to discuss when this
but I mean Cade Smith, yes, it was a 5-round draft and they had 6 picks, but they had to go out and do the work. Like Kansas City got a lot of players after that draft because they actually were paying their minor leaguers above the expected wage that year, and agents were encouraging players to go to Kansas City. So, and Cade Smith, I want to say, was drafted by the Twins out of high school, or maybe that was Joe Donovan, the catcher, who was also a preferred guy. One of them was a Twins guy out of high school. So there was competition. They got it done, and there were people who weren't sure if he should be added to the 40-man at the end of last season. Not us. You and I were like, add this dude, and yeah, I mean, have I always been right with him? No. There was that point where I didn't think he would. I wasn't sure if he'd stay on the roster. Now, yeah, he's here to stay. But he has been
after that performance. Yes, yeah, his fastball velocity was up. Great again too.
Yeah, like the pen is just it's so nicely stable. Like after Heron had his rough outing, the next time he was good. It's like there's not a lot of weakness. Hedges, as you mentioned, with the bounce back. It's like
yeah.
Last year I said that the bullpen would be maybe the best of my lifetime. I know. You can make fun of me. This year, this is the most impressive bullpen I can recall in a very long time.
2005 was really good. That was a scrap heap bullpen that turned into something.
Was that
really
the Bob
good.
Howery?
Bob Howery, Arthur Rhodes, Raffy left, Raffy right. You had Bob Wickman, I think, still in 05. So that was a great bullpen. This is a really good one too. But yeah, Cade Smith's velocity was up 2 miles an hour. So you could tell he was really pumped for that closing job and
first save
after the game talked about. Yeah, first save. Austin Hedges talked about. Congrats to him on his first save. And Austin Hedges said it seemed like he was throwing 120 because he was just so pumped up. He was throwing so hard, and he already gets extension. So his 95, 96 fastball looks like 99 because of his extension because he's so lanky and uses his arm so well. And then you throw 99, it's even more impossible for those hitters. So good for Cade Smith.
With that one hit,
quickly, so
that got just real quick that got Lindor over 200, or else he'd fit perfectly on this team as a below 200 hitter. He could be at the bottom of our line.
Sure would. Yeah, he could hit 9 over Brian Rocchio. They're about the same right now.
No, Brian Rocchio's got a higher batting average.
Jesus. Reliever war and in-season war and reliever war are just a terrible way to judge players, but just for arbitrary fun. So Manuel Clase is third in the league in reliever war at 1 total now. Number two on the Guardians, but Cade Smith, top 21 reliever now, 0.06.
Earned it.
An ERA of 2.11, a FIP of 1.45. Hunter Gaddis not far behind him with an ERA of 1.96 and a FIP of 2.66 and a 0.6 F4 as well. Just this bullpen just keeps doing it, and good on them for cleaning up for Tristan McKenzie, who battled through not his best stuff in 5 innings. Once
Heron's down to a 0.87 ERA, 0.87.
Yeah,
we're talking about him as is the 4th or 5th guy in this pen, and he's
right.
At
he's your second lefty. Yeah, all the stats back it up that the FIP is 238. So hopefully. Even 238. I would take that. But
238 is phenomenal. So
just keep these guys in bubble wrap all year, dear Lord. All right. Speaking of the rest of the year, we want to get into the Guardians' win total. What else they're going to do this year with this incredible bullpen and a top 5 offense? Are they a top 5 offense? We'll talk about that coming up.
So I'm over on the Prize Picks website, much like yesterday. I was checking out some players. So one Riley Green, if you listened to me yesterday and picked less on his gamer score, guess what? You won. I did do you right there. I didn't check the other player. I was checking Riley Green. He's at a 6 for tomorrow against Kevin Gausman, and Green has been struggling a bit. But it is a righty as opposed to lefty. So I don't know how I feel there. The one I love, I don't normally like to go at the high end of the spectrum on here, but 8.5. All that means is Henderson needs like 2 singles and a double, or 1 home run. I think gets him over this. He's got the White Sox. He's been on fire this year, and the White Sox are throwing Clevenger. So that 8.5 for Gunnar Henderson kind of looks really good to go high for me. And I also like Kyle Schwarber at 7.5 go over. He's batting leadoff, lots of at-bats, and he's facing Dane Dunning, who gives up a lot of home runs. So if any of this sounded good to you, just go to PrizePicks, use the app, or go to the website, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, all lowercase, all one word, for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Can take it easy on Thursday. No Guardians game to worry about in terms of being close or making errors or having to come back after having one hit for 5 innings. But Friday night, they get to
check
play
out some college ball. Check out some college ball tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow a lot. It's a lot of fun. I went to a college game tonight, but check out the Guardians on the SiriusXM app Friday night while you're watching a college game Friday night, because they're all over the place. Search Guardians on your SiriusXM app to find it. I did go to a college game myself tonight. I went to Kent, Miami over at Lake Erie Crushers Stadium, which is kind of in my backyard. College baseball is beautiful. There were some weird things going on there, but
I miss it. I really loved, like, every Friday when I got done with work, driving out to Kent, and someone else loved when I mentioned Taco Tonto's, getting enough food for dinner at Taco Tonto's, and then for breakfast the next day, and then driving home while watching Eric Lauer, watching, someone like that. Those were beautiful. Watching Eric Lauer while it snowed in April, beautiful times in Ohio. But yeah, college baseball is a
times.
Fun
it was,
thing.
Yeah, it was nice, and it was hot at this game, and then it was so hot that we had lightning and thunder, and they went into delay, so I had to leave.
It was very, very frightening.
But it was very, very frightening. Yes, someone did have some Queen as their walk-up music, so that was cool. I judge players on their walk-up music. If you have good walk-up music or warm-up music, it's a thumbs up on the arrow. Like, I was watching LSU and who did they play today? Kentucky. Great game. Yeah, they played Kentucky and they beat them, which LSU, terrible regular season, and now then
turning it on at the right time.
Season, they are. But Luke Holman pitched. He pitched great against a good Kentucky lineup. But his warm-up song was Aerosmith's Dream On. So I was like, you know what? Arrow up for that one. That's a great choice. I had a couple Aerosmiths at the Kent game. Queen. For some reason, so many baseball players love Queen's Fat Bottom Girls. Like, I had a guy who had that walk-up song in New York when I was working in a college league. That's just a random note. But all right, we're wasting time here.
They make the baseball world go round.
They sure do. It was every time I'm like, how many pitchers in college are using the song? It just baffles my mind, considering Queen's older than I am, because they were around a long time ago. But Guardians already at 33 wins through 50 games. And it was talked about in our FanDuel read. They already are projected that you can't bet them to win over 80 games. They took them off that board on FanDuel. Fangraphs has them winning 80, I believe it's 88 games now. They haven't updated after today, but they have them winning 88 games now. For the Guardians to get to 88 wins, all they got to do is play 2 games under 500 at this point, Jeff. Like, I think this team can go 2 games under 500. I think they can do better, but I think they can play at that rate the rest of the year. And the Royals are right on them.
4 more arms falling apart. It's the only way you get nervous.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Look, they've already played so well. If they lost they should get Gavin Williams back. I don't know.
And they should get Carrasco back, who was pitching better. Like, I don't know how long it'll sustain, but listen, I'll take it while it's there.
Yeah, Curry pitched okay in his return. I don't know. I just feel like, plus, if this team is close to the deadline, it's too early to talk about this as far as trades, because we don't know what's going to happen. But if this team is close to the deadline,
Colorado's got a rental pitcher who's pitching well.
You can go Cal something, I think.
Can't remember his last name.
Speaking of great walk-up songs, he had I'm just gonna blank on it. Darn it! Who was the band that had "Welcome to the Black Parade"? Who was that?
Was that the Chemical Romance?
My Chemical Romance. Darn it! I should have gotten that right. My Chemical Romance. Great warm music. No, there will be pitchers. I mean, buying pitching at the deadline is super expensive. Let's be honest.
It is.
Hopefully Gavin Williams comes back.
Which is why they held on to Bieber, because it was going to be so expensive to buy late that they didn't. That it wasn't worth the cost of trading. The little they would get.
So what do we think,
Or-
Jeff? On May 23rd, I'm going to make you pick right now. Guardians, 88 wins, more or less, on May 3rd, May 23rd. We can predict the future right now.
I'm gonna go more. You know, it's like hopefully, you know, there's gonna be a
I
situation
guess
where
89
like
wins is more.
you know, like maybe they can. I don't want to say like fast track an arm, but we do have points with pitchers who move quickly through AAA. Like, you know, I mean, how many starts did Tanner even have at AAA? I know that was an emergency situation.
Like 3.
So,
yeah.
3. So it's like, you know, occasionally guys do move a little quicker at that level. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone right now in AA that I am all that excited about. Sorry, Doug Casey fans.
Casey?
But
no.
But it's like, you know, maybe there's something to be had, or maybe they you know, when the Padres are never gonna sell because Preller's probably in his final year. But you know, we'll have to see what's available.
Jesus Luzardo's out there.
I mean, if he can be healthy, and then the cost, and he hasn't pitched well, and injury, it's hard. It's a hard situation. Personally, Ryan Weathers is more the guy I'd like to go for, just because I believed in him since he was a high school kid in Tennessee, and he's likely to be cheaper, and he doesn't have the health issue, and he's not gonna again cost as much to add. Because I don't want to trade DeLauder. I don't want to trade Manzardo. I don't want to trade the top end guys. I'd rather work out a deal for another piece, you know. But that's looking very far afield.
That's a good thing to talk about maybe tomorrow is should we talk about guys who could be used in a trade and how we would use the system, because it's kind of rough right now.
It is.
There are some guys moving up, but you don't want to trade Ralphie, you don't want to trade Kyle, you don't want to trade Chase. I don't think there's not one pitcher in this minor league system you can trade right now. Like, is there a pitching prospect in the system you'd be like, we can trade that guy? Because I don't think you can.
No, due to injuries, there isn't. Like, unfortunately, like you and I both thought Justin Campbell or Jacob Zivin would be guys who stepped up from that draft class, and they've never stepped foot on a diamond.
Or Dylan DeLucia, same with him.
Dylan DeLucia, we still don't know what's going to happen there. And
nobody's going to want Joey Cantillo, who will hopefully be back soon. But
and
I don't know, you could trade Daniel Sheeman for a big time pitcher, obviously.
At this point, I don't know. Like a lot of people ask in our comments. I agree. I'd kind of rather see with Rocchio's struggles, Schneeman up. Let's give the 27-year-old who's worked his tail off an opportunity. Like Rocchio is, you know.
Yeah, I just don't know what Rocchio's what he's gonna learn in AAA. That sounds like a good conversation for Friday's episode.
I don't know if he's the dude. Thursday. I don't know if he is a dude. It's one of those things we'll have to discuss, like who we believe in and who we don't believe in. Maybe that's a conversation amongst the young players. I mean, and we can get proven wrong.
Yeah.
Like I mean, Freeman, I didn't believe in, and it looks like he's going to prove me wrong. And I hope to whatever higher power you believe in, he proves me wrong.
Yeah, we'll dig into some minor league stuff on tomorrow's show. We'll talk about, you know, who could be a trade asset, who could not be, and who do we believe in going forward. We also want to talk about the 2011 team, because a lot of people are waiting for the other shoe to drop on this team, and the other shoe did drop on that team like a brick. So we can kind of look at this team and compare it to them and see if we think this team is more built to sustain the success they're having, or if they're going to end up like the 2011 team. So look forward to that. Maybe some more college talk tomorrow, because I've been watching baseball since 10 a.m. on Wednesday, and it's been a beautiful thing. So
brag.
Let's do more of it.
Thank you to Everyday David Vanek. Told us a great story about his son and his love of Lindor, which I always appreciate hearing about fathers and sons. I'm sorry, I probably butchered your name, but thank you to everyone who commented and told me I was wrong on Lindor. I will take that. I don't know. I guess I've always vibed to pitching more, but that's just me. Thank you all for joining, rating, and reviewing, downloading. It helps. We hit over 1,000 yesterday, so thank you all. And go Guardians, go! Keep sweeping.